Hey, so I'm going to be talking about the customer values that the company TJ Maxx has. So I've personally worked for TJ Maxx, specifically at a Marshalls and Home Goods in the Woodlands. And I can say hands down that customer service was probably the biggest thing that was talked about in this company. Every meeting that we had was always about the ratings, it was always about the customer reviews that people were leaving. It was always about ways to improve customer service and just to get those reviews up there. So, to simply put it to you, the company runs off of how well the customers feel about the company. So, one of the biggest things that I noticed in the manual itself was specifically on page 20. It said in big bold letters that our commitment to our customers and our business values. So, from the start, you can obviously see that customer service is a top priority for this company. And, TJ Maxx goes on to explain in their manual very specifically that they take pride in not discriminating or harassing customers based off of, I don't know, their race or their religion. They basically make it known that they treat everybody equally despite all of that, and that they will do their best to handle everybody's individual needs when you walk into their store and you start shopping. They also go on to explain that all their products are safe and that they're all labeled correctly and that they've even been tested. And they also highly suggest and recommend to store employees that if they think that there's something wrong with some of the products, that they need to let management know immediately so they can take it off the shelves. And so that's another thing that they boast about in their company. They also claim in the manual that they have honest business practices. And basically what they mean by this is there's no fraud going on in their company. When they speak about their company, they're being very truthful, they're being very passionate, and basically that they know that they're a very competitive company, but they do everything in a very ethical manner. So, obviously, there are rules when it comes to customer service and how it should be handled and things of that nature. And there are regulations, and there is a manual that says what is expected of employees. As a former sales associate and cashier and coordinator of a Marshalls and Home Goods, I can say that customer service was not always a top priority. I do have a couple of examples. The biggest issue that I saw when working there was the extremely long lines at the registers. So this is usually obviously because you've got a huge flock of customers coming in and you just don't have the manpower to handle all of them. But the reason I say that this was such an issue is because it was a recurring thing. No one seemed to come up with any ideas as to how to fix this. And what the coordinators would usually do at the front, at the registers, the cashier coordinator, is they would try to call someone up from the floor, or they wouldn't call someone off of the floor, and then the lines would just continue to get longer, and then customers would just throw their stuff down and walk out the door and be like, I'm not going to buy anything from here. This is taking way too long. So what I would recommend TJ Maxx to do at a Marshalls and a Home Goods or whatever store, if this problem is persisting, what they should do is they should schedule more cashiers, especially like on a Saturday or Friday or Sunday, those really busy days. I think that every register up there needs to be open and there needs to be a cashier. I think that calling people off of the floor isn't always the smartest idea, because then you take those sales representatives who could potentially help a customer that's shopping, but instead they are on a register. And so now you have a problem of customers wandering around the store and maybe they're looking for something, but they can't find it because there's no one to ask where it is. So that's why it's important to schedule more cashiers for that issue. One more issue that I noticed was the phone. Okay, so Marshalls and Home Goods specifically had 2 phones at the service desk. And on a weekend, they were ringing probably every 10 minutes. Half of the time, their questions from the customers could not be answered. They'd get put on hold for too long, and then they would just hang up. And those were the customers that would leave a lot of unsatisfied reviews about the Marshalls and Home Goods. So I would recommend that the Marshalls and Home Goods schedules a person specifically for the phone, just on the weekends, because obviously those are the busiest days, and that way you don't have that huge call volume and no one to answer the calls because everybody else is busy doing something else. So with these adjustments, TJ Maxx could really improve its overall customer rating. It could improve its sales. I mean, there's so much that could be done if these adjustments were made. All right, well, that's it. I'm going to go ahead and wrap it up there, and thanks for watching.